Hello, my friend. I'm glad you're here. This is a simple story about a man who lost everything, and found himself again through English. It will help you learn English too. Listen carefully, and feel free to repeat the words. Let's begin. My name is Alex. I was 45 years old when everything changed. I had worked in the same company for 15 years. Logistics. Warehouses. Shipments. I was good at my job. I knew the system. People came to me when they needed help. I thought I had a stable life. One morning, my manager called me in. He looked uncomfortable. He didn't say much. Only that the company had problems. They were cutting jobs. Mine was one of them. I was fired. Just like that. I walked home slowly. It was cold outside. The sky was gray. I felt like I was walking through fog. At home, my wife Lena was cooking. I told her what happened. She didn't say anything at first. Then she asked, "What are you going to do now?" That question hit me hard. I didn't have an answer. That night, we didn't talk much. She went to bed early. I stayed in the kitchen, looking at the window. A few days later, she said she was leaving. "I can't live like this," she told me. She packed a suitcase and walked out. Just like that. I was alone. In my small apartment. I felt useless. I stopped shaving. I didn't answer calls. I watched TV all day. I ate whatever was in the fridge. I avoided mirrors. I didn't want to see myself. Then, one night, I woke up at 3 a.m. I couldn't breathe. My chest hurt. I thought it was a heart attack. I sat on the floor, sweating, afraid. But it passed. It wasn't a heart attack. It was panic. That night changed me. I didn't want to die like this. I didn't want to be afraid. I needed to do something. Anything. I took a pen and paper. I wrote, "Learn English." It was a strange idea. I had learned some English in school, years ago. I remembered nothing. But I wanted to try. Maybe I could find a better job. Maybe even work with people from other countries. The first week was terrible. I didn't understand anything. I started with a free app. It showed pictures of cats and dogs and said, "This is a cat. This is a dog." I repeated the sentences out loud. I felt stupid. But I kept going. Every day, I studied for 1 hour. Then 2 hours. I watched YouTube videos for beginners. I listened to English songs and looked up the lyrics. I tried to write simple sentences in a notebook. My name is Alex. I have a cup. I want a job. Soon, I changed the language on my phone to English. I put stickers on everything in my apartment. Fridge. Mirror. Chair. I made flashcards. I spoke to myself in English. In the shower. In the kitchen. In the street. After 3 months, I could understand simple conversations. I joined an online speaking group. At first, I was shy. My hands shook when I talked. But the other people were kind. They made mistakes too. We laughed a lot. After 6 months, I started watching TV shows with subtitles. First, Friends. Then, The Office. I wrote down funny lines. I repeated them again and again. I recorded my voice and listened. It sounded strange. But better with time. A year passed. I could speak. I could listen. I could understand jokes. I felt proud. My English was not perfect, but it was mine. I had built it from zero. One day, I saw an ad for a job in a logistics company. The job needed English. I sent my resume. I wrote a cover letter in English. It took me 3 hours. I checked every word. I clicked send and waited. They called. The interview was in English. I was nervous. I sat at my kitchen table in a clean shirt and practiced answers before the call. When the time came, I spoke clearly. I made some mistakes. But I stayed calm. 2 days later, they offered me the job. I couldn't believe it. I had lost everything. But now, I had something new. A job. A reason to wake up in the morning. My life became busy again. I worked with people from Germany, China, and the US. We spoke English every day. I made new friends. I had meetings, emails, calls. Sometimes I didn't understand everything. But I always asked questions. I always tried. One Friday evening, my company organized a language exchange event. Just for fun. We met in a small cafe. There were people speaking English, Spanish, French, and German. I was a little nervous, but I went. That's where I met Anna. She had red hair, bright green eyes, and a warm voice. She was learning Spanish. She sat across from me and smiled. "Can we talk?" she asked in English. We started with small talk. "Where are you from? What do you do?" But soon we were laughing. Her Spanish was funny. My English wasn't perfect, but we understood each other. It felt easy. We met again the next week. And the week after. We started going for walks, watching movies, drinking tea at her place. She loved books. I told her about my favorite Spanish writers. She told me about her travels. We both loved quiet mornings, strong coffee, and good music. Our romance was quick and full of light, like spring after a long winter. We texted all day, met after work, cooked together, read books aloud in 2 languages. Sometimes she corrected my English. Sometimes I helped with her Spanish. It became our game. And slowly, I started to smile again. Anna changed my life. Before her, my days were quiet. I worked, I studied English, I cooked simple food. I was learning to live again. But with her, life was louder, warmer, faster. She brought color into my world. We met almost every evening. Sometimes at her place, sometimes at mine. We walked through parks, even in the cold. She liked to wear a red scarf that made her hair shine. I remember one night it started to snow while we were walking. Tiny white flakes on her shoulders. She looked up and smiled. "It's magic," she said. And I believed her. We had silly jokes only we understood. Like how she always forgot Spanish words and used hand signs instead. Or how I tried to teach her to cook borscht and she added too much garlic. The apartment smelled like garlic for 2 days. We laughed until our stomachs hurt. Sometimes we sat in silence, and that felt good too. She would drink tea, reading a book in English. I would sit beside her, reading something in Spanish. We didn't need to talk all the time. Just being near each other was enough. I had never felt love like this before. Not even with Lena. That was a different time, a different man. With Anna, I felt understood. She didn't care that I had failed before. She didn't care about my job or my past. She saw the man I had become. And I saw her too. She was strong, even when she doubted herself. She had moved to this country alone, without family. She had learned Spanish the hard way. Through mistakes, through people laughing, through lonely nights. Just like me with English. We were 2 people from different worlds, walking the same path. Our English became the language of our love. Sometimes we added Spanish words. Sometimes we just made up our own. But we always understood. One evening, she said, "Let's go away for the weekend." "Where?" I asked. "Doesn't matter. Somewhere quiet." We rented a small cabin near the forest. Just us, the trees, and the sound of wind in the branches. No phone signal. No emails. Just books, long talks, and the smell of coffee in the morning. We made a fire, sat on the floor wrapped in a blanket, and talked for hours. She told me about her childhood in a small English town. I told her about growing up in a Spanish apartment block. We were different, but something inside us was the same. The same hunger for life. The same quiet sadness. The same dream of something better. Back in the city, we fell into a rhythm. Work, study, time together. I felt stronger every day. I started helping others with English. Some of my old friends asked for advice. I told them the truth. It's not easy, but it's possible. You just have to start. 1 word. 1 sentence. 1 day at a time. My English wasn't just a tool anymore. It was part of who I was. It had brought me to a new job, a new world, and to Anna. One day she invited me to meet her friends. I was nervous. What if they didn't like me? What if my English wasn't good enough? But her friends were kind. They asked questions. They listened. They laughed at my stories. One of them said, "Your English is great. You have a cool accent." I smiled like a boy hearing praise for the first time. Anna squeezed my hand under the table. That small gesture meant everything. Weeks turned into months. Seasons changed. Snow melted. Trees turned green again. Life moved forward. And I moved with it. One night we were sitting on the balcony, watching the sun go down. The sky was orange and pink. Anna said, "You know, I feel safe with you." I looked at her. "I feel lucky with you." She laughed softly. "We're getting serious, aren't we?" I nodded. "Yes. Very." Then she said something I didn't expect. "Do you ever think about the future? Family?" My heart jumped. I didn't know what to say. For a second, I was afraid. Not of her, but of hope. I had learned not to expect too much from life. But this was different. Yes, I said. I think about it a lot. She leaned her head on my shoulder. We sat like that for a long time. One Saturday morning, I woke up before Anna. Sunlight was coming through the window. She was still sleeping, her hair messy, her face calm. I watched her for a moment and felt something warm grow in my chest. I didn't know love could feel like this, quiet, steady, safe. Later that day, she said she wanted to talk. Her voice was soft. Her eyes looked serious but also full of light. I have news, she said. I waited. I'm pregnant. The room became silent. For a moment, I couldn't speak. Not because I was afraid, but because everything inside me stopped, like the world paused just long enough for me to feel every emotion at once. Then I smiled. A real smile. Deep, full, from the heart. I stood up, walked over, and held her. I didn't say anything for a long time. Just held her. Felt her heartbeat. Felt my own. Felt time stop. When I finally spoke, my voice was quiet. We're going to be parents. She nodded. There were tears in her eyes. Happy ones. I never imagined this for myself. At 45, I thought that part of life was behind me. After Lena left, I thought love was over. I thought dreams were for younger men. But here I was, holding the woman I loved, about to start a new life, a real, living future. The months after that moved fast. We went to doctor visits together. I learned new words, ultrasound, heartbeat, due date. I read baby books in English, looked at tiny clothes, searched for names. We talked about everything, how to raise the child, which language to speak first, how to be a team. We didn't have much money, but we had enough. My job was stable. We saved carefully. We made a list of what we needed. I fixed up the small second bedroom in my apartment. Painted the walls light yellow. Anna drew little animals on the wall, a fox, a bear, a rabbit. She smiled more now. But she also cried more. Her emotions were strong. Sometimes she was scared. Sometimes I was too. But we were scared together. And that made it easier. Every evening we went for short walks. She said walking helped her sleep better. I just liked being beside her, holding her hand, feeling the little changes in her body. Watching life grow. And inside me, something else was growing too. A sense of purpose. A kind of peace I hadn't felt before. Not since I was young. I wasn't just rebuilding my life anymore. I was building something completely new. One evening, we sat on the floor of the baby's room. She leaned against my chest. I rested my hand on her stomach. I could feel the baby move. Just a little. Like a soft wave under her skin. He kicked, she whispered. I closed my eyes. That moment stayed with me. Closer to the due date, we stayed home more. I worked remotely. Anna rested a lot. We watched English movies with subtitles. She practiced Spanish. I read children's books out loud. It became our ritual. I would sit on the edge of the bed, reading simple fairy tales while she listened with her hands on her belly. And then, one night, it was time. Her voice woke me. Alex, she said, I think it's starting. I had never moved so fast in my life. We grabbed the bag. Called the taxi. The ride to the hospital felt endless. My heart was racing. Her hand was squeezing mine. At the hospital, everything happened quickly. Nurses came. Doctors gave instructions in fast English. I focused on staying calm. On staying close. It was long. Hours passed. I held her hand. I whispered words in both languages. You're strong. Almost there. And then, at sunrise, I heard the first cry. It was the most beautiful sound I'd ever heard. A nurse placed a tiny, warm, red-faced baby in Anna's arms. She looked at me. Her eyes were full of tears and joy and light. It's a boy, she said. I sat beside her, took a deep breath, and looked at my son. My son. In that moment, everything made sense. The job I lost. The woman who left. The long nights alone. The hard words in a new language. All of it brought me here. To this small, perfect human being. To this woman I loved. To this quiet, beautiful morning, where everything began again. Now, when I walk with my son in the park, I speak to him in English and Spanish. I tell him stories. I show him trees, birds, clouds. I tell him he can be anything, go anywhere, speak with anyone. I want him to grow up fearless. To know that no matter how dark life gets, it can always surprise you. Because I know. It surprised me. And it gave me everything.